Hey, everybody, and welcome to Boss Talks. I'm your host, Evan Happel with Community Boss, and we have a great solution for you when it comes to managing your parking amenities, mapping, want to generate revenue. We got you covered. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But today it's about Todd Thorpe. He's with me here on Boss Talks. He's my guest 123. Super excited to have him and to get into what he is all about, which is multifamily technology. He's been in the managed Wi-Fi space for quite a while. He knows all things Wi-Fi and can really help us see the importance of that, because if we don't have Wi-Fi, well, there's a lot of things that don't work well. Let's think about all the garages and things where you go in there and your cell phone doesn't work anymore because there's no signal. There's all kinds of problems I've personally experienced, and I know he knows those all too well. But we'll get into all things Wi-Fi, technology. He's very passionate about public speaking, and so hear from him in that capacity. And I know he's about to have a speaking engagement, I think. Was it this week or next week? He's going to RetCon. He just was telling me about it. I forget when it is because I'm not going. Either way, I'm excited to have him. We actually were supposed to speak, I think it was almost 2 years ago, pretty sure. He got sick, and then I ended up just winging it and having my own show by myself with somebody I had previously had, and she interviewed me. And I can't even to this day find that audio. So it's in the archives somewhere. But we'll get right into it with Todd, and thanks for watching with us today. Let's bring Todd to the show. Todd, thanks for being here.
Magic.
Yes, it is magic, isn't
That's
it?
cool.
Technology. You weren't here, and now you're here.
And Wi-Fi, I heard the intro.
Yes.
That's part of what gets it out over the airwaves, right?
That's correct. Although I will say this, and maybe it's because I don't use it right. I don't use Wi-Fi here in my office.
Okay.
Because I do so much streaming and everything else that I've had so many problems, probably because I don't have a good enough router and all that. But
right.
I found I'm going to just hardwire it in there. Now I got good consistency with video and all that kind of stuff. But not to say that there isn't some high value in Wi-Fi.
Well, we'll talk about that, because there's a misconception that Wi-Fi is nothing but wireless, but it's wired and wireless. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, because
yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, right?
Yeah. We'll get there, people.
Because we want them to stay till the end.
That's right. Yeah, we can't ruin it. That's right. No, I do appreciate you being here, though, Todd. And actually, funny story. So, kind of what I think got us
I know what you're gonna
bonding back, I don't know, 2+ years ago. We were actually at I think it was OpTech. We were having breakfast. We happened to be at the same table. And I was like, "Oh, Dojo Networks. I got a little nugget for you." So basically, in community boss lore, there was a few years where we were figuring out our identity. We had some new products. We weren't just a parking solution anymore. And so we were like, you know what would make a lot of sense? We called ourselves Community Boss. So we did that, and we came up with this friendly little logo. It was a house with a smile. We launched it. We went to Apartmentalize. That's where we went all in with it. And then our founder, who designed that logo, was walking around, and he's following this person. Maybe it was you, Todd. I don't even know. Sees this logo on the back of a shirt, a smiley green house, like literally the same.
Yeah.
Dojo Networks. And so he was mortified. I will just say, he was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Went from, I can't wait to show off my logo, to, oh, this is not good. Yeah. Yes, my
So
former company, yes, and I'll never forget that story, Evan, when you told me that. Yeah,
yeah,
that was just yeah.
yeah. So we are well past that now.
Yes.
We have good things going for us. As you can see in Boss Talks, we have the smile. So we have the friendly incorporated in a different way.
Right. I love your logo. So
Yeah.
it works well.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we're changing it again. It's not launched on our website, but yeah, it's going through an iteration right now.
More
But
brand change, more to
that's
come.
right. Yep. Well, again, Todd, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
The thing I like to start off with was a few questions for all my guests. And uh, I don't know how much you are familiar, and I mean, everybody interacts with parking, but I always like to ask if anybody has a anecdote, a story, something, maybe it's a parking ticket because I have a few that happened recently. But a parking story. Do you have anything to share with my listeners?
Well, not multifamily, but definitely a parking story where so
Okay.
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. The story has nothing to do with it being Greenville, but love Greenville. So I'm always trying to give Greenville a plug. But travel a lot, right, for business. And we have a great airport, but got home one night. I think it was probably midnight. You're tired. You just want to leave. You go to the parking garage, get your car, and trying to get out of the parking garage. I mean, I don't know, the card reader or whatever, I put my ticket in and I think I was parked for probably 4 days, and at least I remembered where I parked because usually that's always take a
Yeah.
picture,
Yeah.
with your spot. Found my car, go to leave. And dude, it took me 20 minutes, I think, or longer. And cars are like backed up because they want to leave. Because I think we all got in at the same time. And I was about ready to just ram that arm to just like get out of there, because people were angry, thinking it was my inept. The card reader just would not work. So I don't know if it's a funny story, but it was an aggravating story at midnight. And I just wanted to go home and go to bed. But parking, yeah, getting in and out and access.
Yeah.
If technology isn't working,
Yep.
right?
It's not exactly what we provide, but that is a similar thing to what we, give parking lots and things. But yeah, that can be super aggravating. Gates can definitely, when they don't work right, and that's the thing, especially with communities, they end up breaking. Somebody rams into it and it
Right.
breaks. So then it's a cost. Anyways, there's a lot about the gate that isn't fantastic, really.
And you're
But
stuck because you can't
yeah.
back up.
So
'Cause everybody-
what ended up finally letting you through?
So I had to call the help button. I mean, I tried numerous times to try to get out, called the help button. It took them probably 10 minutes for them to finally answer the help button request or whatever. And then they had to send somebody out.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
just was, for whatever reason, it wasn't reading either my ticket or whatever. But yeah, the parking boss had to come and rescue me.
Seriously.
Right.
I think I'd be really mad at that point.
Well, now I'm leery because I travel out of that airport, and if I get home late at night, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Because I don't want to get stuck. And so
Oh
far,
man.
everything's been good since that incident,
Oh
the
gosh.
infamous parking incident.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. Well, you made it home finally, right?
I did. Yes.
Wasn't life and death. That's good. All right. Well, thanks for the story. Next question I have is, when it comes to music, and I heard you actually thought about this. You took some time to pick some songs that mean something to you. But I like to ask my guests, because I'm building a playlist, what is a song that is whether it's motivating, get you moving, get you going for work or otherwise that you always go back to?
Well, I had quite a few. I was thinking because it's
Okay,
hard.
let's
I
hear them.
grew up in the 70s, so I love 70s music. Used to go to a lot of concerts growing up back when concerts were like $10, right? And you could go see Van Halen or AC/DC, and it was, $5 or $10. General admission, you didn't even have a seat. Everybody crammed to the front of the stage. But I also like, newer music. It's funny. I will hear an artist on the radio, and I'll say to my wife or my kids, my kids are adults now, and I'll say, "Gosh, this artist, this is like, they're fantastic," and they're like, "Dad or honey, that artist was like 5 years ago, right?" And I think it's new. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Bruno Mars was the Super Bowl. I can't remember what Super Bowl he did the
Yeah.
halftime show, and I'm like, wow,
Uh-huh.
this Bruno Mars guy, he's pretty good. And they're like, Dad, he's been around forever.
He's been
So I
around.
feel
Yeah.
make me feel old.
Yeah.
But Wings, Paul McCartney, Wings, Beatles, Band on the Run is probably one of my all-time favorite songs. It's nostalgic, kind of is a feel good summertime, roll the windows down, that kind of song.
Nice. You have a couple others though?
Oh, I do. Yeah. You want me to
Yeah. Let's add them.
So Elton John, big Elton
Okay.
John fan. Tiny Dancer. That's one of
Okay.
my favorite Elton John songs.
Okay.
Saw Elton John in concert, saw Paul McCartney in concert. Melissa Etheridge, love Melissa Etheridge. And it's I Want to Come Over. That's a great kind of power ballad. That's a good song. And then Foo Fighters, the song Everlong by the Foo Fighters.
It's a good one. For sure.
So I'm
right.
kind of all over, when it comes to music taste.
Yeah. Do you kind of stay in those genres though, in those years, those decades?
Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't tell you, anyone new. I couldn't tell you, contemporary musicians. I just don't. So my wife and my kids have to tell me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Stephanie, she's watching. She's singing to one of your songs right now.
Here we go. Right?
Don't get me started, Stephanie. I'm gonna sing.
Hold Me Closer. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. You don't want to hear me sing. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I'll be sure to add all those to the playlist.
Okay.
And I'll continue to share that link as every week as I add more and more. But
he dropped Foo Fighters to sound like he was cool. Yep. That's it.
That's right.
Flannel. I was gonna wear my flannel, right? But
I mean, maybe I should start wearing grunge. I am in Seattle, so it's like,
I went through my grunge phase. I've seen Pearl Jam 3 times.
Yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots I saw in concert. Never saw Nirvana, but I was a big Nirvana fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course Foo Fighters.
Yeah, the 90s were like all about Seattle.
Kind of. Well, Pearl Jam kind of started it in Nirvana, right? They were the fathers of Seattle grunge.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot. And it's weird because it's like, how did they all play off each other and create this genre all of a sudden from Seattle? Like the music scene in Seattle just was like, this is our music.
It was a great kind of decade though. And that music again resonates with me a lot, growing up.
Yeah. No, I like the music. It's funny. I didn't grow up listening to it, but I'm from the Northwest. So, but now I like it. It's all good.
Now
Though.
I just listen to talk radio.
Oh.
No, I still listen to music a lot, but I
Yeah.
still also listen to just podcasts and talk
Yeah.
radio.
Talk radio, yell at
Yep.
people. Just kidding. Um,
Right.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for answering the question. And then finally, when it comes to your caffeinated beverage of choice, what's your go-to?
Well, again, this is going to sound Seattle, but
Mm.
Starbucks coffee. I'm a huge,
Okay.
I'm a coffee snob.
Oh, okay.
Pour over only.
Wow. You
Yeah.
wait
Oh
for
yeah.
your coffee.
What's that?
You wait for your coffee.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So pour over is the way to go. French press is okay, but
Yeah.
that's kind of messy. So I like to do a pour over. Starbucks usually.
Do you take the temperature of the water and all that?
Yep. So
Oh
our
man.
daughter, my daughter, she got me a kettle that I
Okay.
can heat the water up and then pour it into the pour over carafe. So it's the right temperature. Measurement. Put the right measurement in there to brew the perfect cup of Starbucks coffee at home. And it's not $5. And I'm not into the fancy, mocha cappuccino things. I mean, nothing that there's wrong with it. I'll take a good flat white. I like a good flat white.
So doing I'm a little concerned for you. You're doing, I mean, you get a good cup of coffee on a pour over, okay?
Right.
Or a French press. I agree. I like it. But you're using Starbucks beans?
Starbucks coffee, yeah. Like grocery store Starbucks.
I mean, because it usually ends up being kind of bitter, a little bit burnt compared to.
I like that. I like that burnt kind of. Now, not bitter as in, because coffee will get bitter if it sits in a carafe,
Right.
But it will have that kind of bitter taste to it. And I like acidic. And I like the dark roast coffees, like the espresso, the French roast, the Italian roast. I'm not a Pike's Place guy. That's too medium for me.
You like it dark. All right. Well, I don't know if it's gotten there, but I'm sending you coffee. So
okay.
You're going to get some coffee from here in the Northwest, Boss Blend.
Ooh,
it's our own coffee. And so you'll have to tell me how it is over a pour over.
Okay. Well,
it's not a coarse grind, though. The problem is it may not be a good grind for a pour over. So we'll have to find out. It might be kind of finer. I don't know. So let me know.
I'm sure it'll work, Evan, and I will post on LinkedIn me enjoying my cup of coffee.
Perfect. Okay, good. Yeah. No, it's good coffee, though. Straight. We picked. I didn't. One of our owners picked the blend.
Okay.
You went actually to a roaster and had it and picked it out, and then that's what we use. And he designed the packaging and everything. So yeah, we have to represent the Northwest,
Yes, of course. Well, you guys are known for grunge music and coffee.
Yeah, that's it. And by and large, mediocre sports.
we won't go there.
Sometimes we have a bright spot, but then we kind of get there and then don't win. But whatever, it's all good.
Well, I'm a Bears fan. I'm originally from Northern Illinois, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I lived back in '85.
Basketball.
With yeah.
You had the Bulls,
right? Yes.
Not that they've done anything in a long time, but during Michael Jordan's era, at least.
That was a dynasty, and I got to see them. I got to see that dynasty play several times in Chicago, and that was amazing. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that would have been pretty amazing. Yeah, I had the Portland Trailblazers to watch, so it's whatever. I grew up in Oregon, so. But anyways, during that time, Yeah. All right. Well, Todd, thanks for answering all my questions. Now we're going to get to know you a little bit more. I know you've been in this industry for a while. I don't think you've always necessarily been multifamily per se, though, right?
A good 25 years of my
Okay, it's a good
career. Yeah.
chunk. It's a good chunk.
Yep.
But before that, kind of what did you, I mean, you've been at it for a while. I know
Right.
you've been in this sector, kind of technology and everything. How long would you say you've been in this kind of work?
Well, so I've been in telecommunications since 89. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
So
40
you've
years,
seen a lot.
35, 40 years. Yeah.
You've seen
And
all the evolutions.
yeah, that was back when we had 15 cable channels
Uh-huh.
and internet wasn't invented yet.
Right.
So yeah, that's my background. I went to college to be a film director, though. Kind of
Okay.
weird. You're right. I wanted to be the next Steven Spielberg, and it just never worked out that way. That's how life, takes a turn. But my first job in cable was in public access. So like Wayne's World, doing public access TV. I worked for a cable company, and we produced a lot of that local goofy public access where somebody would come in off the street. They wanted to produce a show, right? Community Boss on cable channel 5, and
Yeah, yeah,
you would
yeah.
be the host. That was
Did you
before
have your own
podcast.
show ever?
I did not have my own show,
Okay.
but did a lot of that, and then stayed in the cable industry, mostly on that kind of that production side, and then went into the ad sales side of cable, did that, and then I went into direct sales, door to door, selling cable TV door to door, and then that was kind of the first foray into multifamily, because we did a lot of door to door sales in apartment buildings, because you had a lot of potential customers all together
So you,
versus
so you went door to door in a community?
yep, door to door cable
Man.
sales, knocking on doors. Yeah.
I mean, people still do door to door. We get people coming by my house every once in a
Oh
while
yeah.
selling pest solutions. You got those people that are selling even like cable and such and
Oh yeah.
internet here and there too.
Solar, you get a lot of
Yeah.
that in the neighborhood. Get a lot of guys trying to sell me solar panels from my roof.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've done that kind of sales, like what did you learn from that? Cuz talk about door in face.
Yeah, you learn to be well, you learn to take a lot of rejection.
Oh
You
yeah.
you learn to literally have to knock on a lot of doors and go through a lot of no's to get a yes.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of, kind of you see a lot of things. I don't want to repeat right now, but because you're out, you're in apartments, some areas nice, some areas not so nice, but so you're exposed to a lot of that. But yeah, I learned a lot of that rejection. You have to be out there. You have to be hustling in door-to-door cable sales. It's not 9 to 5, because a lot of people, they work during the day.
Yes.
Remote work was not a thing back then. So you had a job and then you came home. So it was after 5, it was weekends. So there was a lot of that type thing. And
Yeah.
then from there we started a multifamily. When I was at Charter, we started selling to multifamily properties, doing right of entry agreements, and then bulk cable TV became a thing. And then the evolution just kind of started from there.
Yeah.
Um, and it really, that was kind of my focus at Charter for the 20 years that I was there.
Yeah. So yeah, you have seen a lot. What's been the craziest shift that you've seen over the time you've been in this?
I would have to say, I wouldn't necessarily say crazy. It's a good thing, but just the enormous amount of entertainment, if you want to call it entertainment, at a person's fingertips today. Because
Mm-hmm.
remember, when I rewind the tape and go back to the beginning of my career,
We're talking tapes, people.
there's tapes here. There's tapes. You're talking, and reel-to-reel tapes, the big, right?
Yeah.
You're talking, literally 15, 20 cable channels. And then I remember as new cable channels started coming out, we got tape reels to promote CNN and Turner Classic Movies and all these that are common back then. They were new. The OJ trial on CNN, that changed cable TV forever. So those types of events, and being there to witness those in real time has been pretty cool. And now I think there's almost too much at our fingertips.
Yep.
That, it's just, it's distracting.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm constantly like, I'm always looking for a new show. And it's like, do I need to be looking for a new show? Like, do I need to watch 15 episodes all at once? I probably don't. I probably could be doing other things.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So if you go back, we used to have, in TV, and I think the broadcast still does this, but go back to the 70s and 80s, you had your regular season TV, and then you had summer reruns, and then you had the next season come up. Well, nowadays, and then when streaming became a thing with like Game of Thrones and what's the Stranger Things, you could binge, the whole season. They put all the shows out at once, and you could binge it and you could watch it
2
in a
days.
weekend or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now they're going back to where,
Yellowstone
was out, and then it's like 2 years before the next season comes out.
Yeah, right? It's so annoying.
And then you forget.
Oh, yeah. Like, what even happened? I don't...
Because so much time passed. So there's a lot of that with streaming nowadays but you're right. Trying to find, do I want to find a new show? Do I want to get invested? But now it's, you have a show and then you got to wait a week.
Yeah. I do. I kind of like that some of them have gone back to just releasing one at a time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't need to watch them all at once. Like that is not, it's not good for my health. It's not good.
Get a life, man.
That's
Yeah.
I think it's probably best if we just got into a cadence of like one or two at a time, and then plus, I mean, they probably realized what happened was people watched it all at once and then canceled their subscription because they're like, what if they only wanted to watch the one show? So they watched it for a month and then they're like, deuces. Bye.
I'm done.
Yep. Yeah. So they probably are like, yeah, we aren't doing that anymore. See it a little bit, but no, I've noticed that with Disney for sure, that they're like one at a time with one of the shows I started.
They want to keep you coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like Community Boss. We want to keep Boss Talks.
Yeah, one at a time, That's why it's live, people. You only see it if it. But side note, I am getting my podcast back and going. So I've been releasing more and more episodes from the past. So if you missed it in the past, you'll be able to watch or listen to this in a few weeks.
Like retro, kind of bringing it back.
Yeah, retro. Cool. Yeah, maybe there'll be some prophetic things. You'll go back and listen to some of my podcasts and it'll be like, oh, that's what's happening right now.
Right.
Only a few
predicted
months.
It.
That's true. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. You have any predictions? Maybe you have a prediction. What do you think's happening in technology when it comes to Wi-Fi and things? What have you seen starting to us move towards?
Well,
might not be.
You will definitely start to see an evolution of and a convergence of technology and the ability, and you guys know that being having that access and managing applications and platforms. Right now, there's too many, and they're trying to bring it all together. So I think you will start to see a convergence of that over time to make it simpler for the end user, for the resident, especially in multifamily.
Yeah.
Because right now it's almost like the streaming options, right? There's just so many options right now for you, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah. No, it is.
And what I talk about owners and developers is it's hard for them to get into the game because they end up sitting on the sidelines a lot, just kind of watching it all go by, because they don't know where to start, because it's literally information overload.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to get to that point. I'm not a big, AI and robots are going to take over the world. I don't know, it's not going to be Terminator. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe I'll be dead by then when it does happen, but
I'm pretty dystopian over here.
yeah.
I'm banking on it. But
Well,
I'm glad you're optimistic.
what do they call that? There's a point in time where they call it I forget there's a term for it, where the singularity, where you get to a point where you can't turn back, right? It's gone.
I think we're already there.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say that the singularity has already happened, and it's just the cat is out of the bag, so to speak.
Yeah. The only thing that resets it is an asteroid.
And they said one's coming, 2032 or something. The size of a football field.
If you look, not to get into doomsday here, but
well, too late. We've already done.
But I mean, if you look at history and you look at the history of the world, there's been a lot of iterations, and potentially, I think to some degree, I think they're starting to wonder if there was some pretty advanced technology that just got wiped out. And I tend to think that maybe there was, and we just don't know about it.
They say that society or whatever, humanity needs to reset itself every so often and start all over again. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't discount it.
Yeah. But I mean, I think at some point the earth takes care of its own self that we can't even do anything about it. So, anyways, not to. So, technology or otherwise, things will happen how they happen. So let's just enjoy today.
That's right. Let's put on Foo Fighters Everlong, and let's just.
That's right. Foo Fighters Everlong. Depending on where you are, get your beverage or otherwise thing of choice and just sit there and listen to some music.
But technology, the whole ChatGPT thing and all of that has, I guess, just redefined how we behave professionally and personally, and relying on that and it kind of turns you kind of lazy in a sense. And I'm guilty of it. I'll turn to ChatGPT to draft an email or a letter or whatever. And it's great because it helps you get started. But then sometimes we're like, well, that sounds pretty good. I'll just use it as is,
Yeah. But you got to be careful. And that's not what this is about. But if you rely solely on the Chat GPT, what it's doing is taking something that exists and giving you. So if you're doing something that other people are doing, you're going to have something that's the same.
Yeah.
Potentially. It's not going to be unique.
It's not Evan. It's not in your Evan's voice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in what has been already created. And so you got to be careful, because I even just saw a post, 2 days ago, about people submitting, it was Faith Baldwin, submitting applications for an award, I believe. And they were noticing that all of them sound the same.
Oh, yeah.
because they're using likely ChatGPT to give them answers to these
Sure.
questions and not altering them.
Busted.
Which I find interesting because when I do these applications, I never once crossed my mind, oh, I should go use ChatGPT to answer
Right.
these. I'm thinking, no, I should be answering them with my actual story or
Yeah.
anecdote or what I know, right? Like, why would I use the internet for that?
I could have showed up today with a Todd robot and he could have just did the show and I could have just kept busy, but
Yeah. I appreciate maybe this is fake. I don't even know anymore. Is this really Todd? I'm not sure. No, but one thing I think would be interesting is to just based on what you're currently doing and everything is to kind of explain the managed Wi-Fi and that whole world because I
right.
didn't really understand it. I imagine the thing that I'll say is I think it's super important in a lot of capacities because even for what we provide a community, it relies on a signal, whether that's
Yep.
Wi-Fi or data or whatever. But we all know at a community, the reliability of just a cell phone signal can be pretty spotty. And so when you're thinking full community Wi-Fi, where it hits the different layers of like a parking garage and this kind of thing, obviously some have that, some just have it in their units. But yeah, what is the adoption growing for community-wide Wi-Fi?
So let me ask you this. What the last time you stayed at a hotel or a resort, um, you'd be shocked if they didn't have Wi-Fi, right? I mean,
Right. Totally.
it's a given. Go to
Yeah.
Starbucks, they have Wi-Fi.
Right.
And in a lot of those cases, once you connect once, you're gonna just reconnect automatically. When you leave your house, get in your car, you jump on your data, and then maybe you get to a Starbucks, you connect to the Wi-Fi, you get back in your car, you're back on your data, and you get back home, you walk in, bring the groceries, you sit them down on the kitchen counter. You don't go, I wonder if I'm back on my Wi-Fi. Oh, I am. Boy, that's great. You just automatically connect.
Yeah.
And it's becoming the same thing that you would experience in a resort or a hotel. Especially like a large resort where you're a lot of space, pool and amenity spaces, or at a conference or at a apartmentalize or wherever you're connected to the Wi-Fi wherever you go.
Yeah.
That is the same concept when we're talking community-wide managed Wi-Fi in multifamily. Student housing was the first to really adopt it for obvious reasons. You have kids that have devices are growing, they're gaming, whatever, homework, and they need to stay connected. So student housing really picked up on it and they're pretty much full steam. Now you're seeing it in traditional or conventional multifamily. You're seeing it in both new construction and existing properties. And the technology is there to retrofit a property and keep the cost down and do it from greenfield, because obviously, no walls, the sky's the limit. And then affordable. In the state of New York, there's a lot of regulation that affordable developers have to put in managed Wi-Fi when they build a property, and there's certain specs and guidelines. Well, really, in the simplest, you have usually fiber coming to a property, and then within your data or your technology closets, you're going to have switching and active equipment that then is connected via fiber and or Ethernet, and then you'll have an access point in every unit, right? Like like this, right? You got an access point. Well, can get mounted to the ceiling, or there's some that will get mounted to the wall. And that access point, so we're talking about what you mentioned earlier, wired, like you plug in directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do have both, right? You're in managed Wi-Fi. It doesn't mean it's all wireless. You're going to have an access point to connect to via Wi-Fi signal, right? Omnidirectional. It's going to pick up that signal, but then you'll also have a wired port that's on the wall, so you could plug directly in, or we have an access point where you can plug directly into a wall-mounted access point. So it either has the Wi-Fi signal, or you can plug your laptop directly into the access point. So managed Wi-Fi doesn't mean there's no wires. It's Wi-Fi, but just like in a hotel, when you're in your room, you still have the Ethernet jack that you can plug directly into if you want that, or you can just go wireless.
Yeah.
So yeah, if the signal is good and the service is good, you don't necessarily have to rely on that connected. But certainly having both options is there. And then you can just literally roam throughout the property and stay connected wherever you are, whether you're in the pool or you're in the fitness center or you're back in your unit.
So I'm curious, is it secure?
Yeah. So with managed Wi-Fi, there is a technology. So we use what's called enhanced pre-shared key, PSK. And what that means is you're giving the resident a key or a password or their credentials to log onto the network. And you're only going to see one SSID network, one network name. So if it's Garden Apartments, you can call that network Garden Apartments network or whatever. And then you as the resident would use your credentials to log on to that. You're only going to see that network. You know, people look at their phone and they're in their home or their apartment. They're going to see a whole bunch of different networks, right? Because of everybody else's network. Could be your neighbors across the street that you can pick up those network names. That's not secure because you can hack into those. With managed Wi-Fi, the security, part of the security lies in a single SSID that everybody sees, but nobody else can see your credentials to log in. So hence, and there's other layers of security there, but at the simplest, that's how it works. And it's very secure.
Huh. Yeah, I there's some of this I've always wondered about because, you know, I have my modem and it's encrypted and I have to use a passcode to get into it and stuff like that. And it's like, but how does it work when you're sharing a network, right? Like across the whole community or a hotel or whatever.
Right.
And you're doing work and maybe what you're doing is sensitive, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, just curious, always been curious about that.
But that's how, a single SSID where everybody gets their own unique login or key, if you will, or credential to access the network. And then you're on. And then you can change, you'll get you know how like a lot of when you fill out a form, it'll automatically generate a password for you. You know, and you can use that password or you can create your own.
Yeah.
In this case, that's what happens is you get issued a password and then you can go into your account and then update it and change your password to 12345.
Yeah.
Pound sign.
Exactly. Yes. So secure. So what's the relationship between you guys and like the provider? So whether that's Xfinity or whoever it is,
so
what is that relationship?
So we sell the hardware. So we sell we sell the access points, the hardware and the software to manage the
network.
the network. And we also sell the switching. We
Mhm.
don't do any of the wiring or the the low voltage, and we don't do that, or we don't do installation, but we sell our hardware, our switches, fiber components, fixed wireless, which is basically, two microwave, shooting signals from a building to building, because you don't want to run fiber. So we sell all of the hardware and the software to a managed service provider, a cable operator, who would then take our equipment and install it in a multifamily property.
Yeah.
And then they manage the network. We don't do it. We just sell them the hardware and the software to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's become important about having a system like your guys's is like we are playing in the access control space. Not that we make any of it, but we're integrated with different solutions.
Yep.
And a lot of them work through Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
So they're connecting to the Wi-Fi to give you to share the credentials or whatever they're doing, and then you're gaining access because of Wi-Fi.
Well, and that is part of the advantage of having a managed Wi-Fi network. If you deploy that, then you can layer on all of this other technology. You can have access control, security cameras, smart thermostats, smart locks, and then all of those would ride on the Wi-Fi network. And the provider would issue a separate SSID for those devices to connect. So you're not necessarily having to use your own personal. Your personal devices, if you bring your own Alexa, your smart TV or whatever, we have the ability with our hardware and software platform to give the resident a second personal SSID that they would use only for those devices that are staying within the unit. You're not going to take your smart TV and walk around the apartment building. You're going to use your phone, right?
Yeah.
So you can use a secondary personal SSID for yourself, which also is secure, to connect those devices as well.
And it's creating a net then, right? Because as you walk around, it's constantly transferring you to a new,
the closest access point. So
right.
you and I live in an apartment building, and you're on the 4th floor and I'm on the 2nd floor, and you want to come on down and get me, and then we're going to go to the pool or we're a fitness center or whatever. Yeah, as you're walking, you're going to connect to the nearest access point, as if you're in a VLAN, as if you're back in your unit, but you're just going to connect seamlessly. You get me, then you and I take off and we go down to the 1st floor, and we're going to both connect. And off we go.
I mean, to a degree, a good Wi-Fi network in an area is better than data, because
without a doubt.
Because data, like, they're trying to get me to use data here instead of using Comcast or whatever.
Right.
T-Mobile's like, hey, you should really get one of our data point hubs, whatever, stick it wherever, and then you have Wi-Fi. Well, I hardly have a signal where I live most of the time. And it's like, why do I even pay for my phone? I don't even know why I pay for my phone, because most of the time I'm connected to Wi-Fi.
All right.
I don't even get it.
And honestly, I don't want to slam data. I mean, cell connections, they are important, and we do rely on them. What's that?
Yeah. Let's slam them.
Yeah, we're gonna beat them up. Yeah. But in a multifamily property, it does have limitations, and it is based on design,
right?
Cement walls.
Right.
And there are places where you're in a basement, you're in a parking garage. There are places where Wi-Fi works better than data does.
Right.
So my advice is, you want to have the Wi-Fi network, and you want to have a robust network The key is working with a provider that knows what they're doing. This isn't their first rodeo. They have a lot of success, and they can build a network that literally is kind of custom fit for your property.
Yeah. Yeah. So what last question on this, and then we'll get to your other stuff, but what do you think the adoption rate is of communities in managed Wi-Fi now?
Well, right now, there are more properties in the United States that don't have managed Wi-Fi or even just bulk internet than do.
Mhm.
The adoption, though, it's starting to pick up as education. People are going to trade shows and they're starting to understand there's a huge need for it.
Mm. Mhm.
In a lot of studies, NMHC Grace Hill is probably one of the most famous ones, where it's up to like 90% of residents feel that having instant on internet when they move in is like vital or very important.
Yeah.
Because think about it this way too, Evan, when like my son, he moved into an apartment in Boston. He moved to Brooklyn, sorry, a few months ago. 26 years old. One of the first things that he had to have was his internet, right?
Right.
26-year-old kid, single, he's got to have his internet on. And why would the whole idea is creating an environment for a resident to be seamless. I'm here to cater to you and make it as easy for you to move in as possible.
Yeah.
And the trick is making sure that it is really good Wi-Fi.
Right.
When you check into a hotel, what's one of the first things you ask them after you give them your credit
What's the
card?
Wi-Fi password?
That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's the
100%.
same thing.
Yeah. No, I think it is, for me, I find it more important than smart tech. Like, I don't care if you have smart locks or a smart thermostat, or I could care less. I don't have it in my house. I don't want it in my house. But I need Wi-Fi. I need internet. Like, it's a part of our life.
It is, and it's here, and you really almost can't live without it. It's sad,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I can't do my job without it. That's for sure.
well, we had the Hurricane Helene come through here in South Carolina. We didn't get hit as bad as Asheville, North Carolina did, but we still got hit pretty bad. We were without internet for 3 weeks, and I had to use my mobile hotspot on my phone.
Yeah.
And it went in and out a lot. It wasn't as reliable as my internet service. And I'm not going to name my provider because I don't want to, because it really, it's not their fault, because heck, man, there are trees down everywhere. But but we rely on it. We just we take it for granted.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then when it's gone, you're like, what do I do?
Right. Oh no.
What do I do? I don't know. Breathe. Relax.
Yeah.
You're alive.
It is just internet after all, but yeah. Put it in perspective.
No, it is an important part of our life, though. And from the standpoint of like communities, it is it's really an amenity. And it's really something that I'd say is just growing in importance. It already is important. So
it is.
So thanks for sharing about that and all your history on that, because you've been at it for a while. You've seen all of it. You've seen the evolutions, and so it's interesting to talk to people that have seen everything that's taken place and that's changing over time. Well,
just real quick. So when I was with Charter and we came out with internet service way back when, I was the 10th customer. Employee, right, / customer who had internet service. That shows you how long. I mean, the 10th who had it. So, and my personal email, which I'm not going to give out, is it's the same email that I've had for all this time, 30 years
Yeah.
or more. Yeah, 40
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. My parents didn't want to spend money on internet. We had like net zero dial up where you get it for free, but there's ads.
Right.
Oh, man.
AOL. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the disc in the mail every 5 days. Yep.
Yeah. You've got mail. Yeah.
Oh, man. Good times. All right. Well, the last couple things that you mentioned, which are worth talking about, is helping others achieve success both professionally and personally. So, how are you doing that, and why do you find that to be such an important aspect of your life?
Well, I mean, to me, I know it sounds corny, but I want to give back professionally, and in like this kind of setting. Or I always ask people, if I had somebody breaking into MDU sales, they were new. They said that they watched a podcast that I was on, and they said it was just, really helped them get motivated and understand. So any way that I can teach somebody or help them understand this business, whether it's an owner who's trying to figure out technology, or somebody personally who's trying to break into the business and try to understand it or navigate, I want to try to help as much as I can in that
Yeah.
regard, and
Yeah.
not quid pro quo. It's not like I'm looking for something in return here. You just do it.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you, Todd, but now that you've been on Boss Talks, I'm expecting a lot from you.
You own me now? Yeah.
I do. Those things the salty things you said before the show, they're recorded. No.
So at the next trade show, I got to work your booth. I got to
help. Yep. I need at least 5 leads from you.
Okay.
No, but that's a good way to approach things, is being helpful. I think honestly, the more you're helpful, the more people in general will just be like, "Hey, that guy's a good guy, and I like working with him, or I appreciate what he did for me." So,
well, your show is a perfect example of that. You have people on that might be related to multifamily, but you're not out there really promoting. Like every show is about community boss, and you're having other people, and you are giving back to people.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, that's the way I approach it. I don't expect anything out of it. But what it has done is it's allowed me to meet new people. It's allowed me to build relationships with a greater group across the country, and it does mean a lot, and it does have a positive business impact in whatever way you want to measure that. So it's that I don't measure it. I don't expect certain things out of it. I just know that it's having an impact, and that's all that matters.
Yep. That's enough for you. Yep.
Yep. So, and then coming up, you have a public speaking event. It's something that you enjoy doing. So what are you doing, and what is it about public speaking that you enjoy?
Yeah. So, next week, we're going to be at RetCon.
Okay.
I'm going to be on a panel about boosting ROI and with using resident amenities. Panel discussion is Wednesday. It's going to be in Vegas, so Pacific time, 10:35 Pacific time. But in addition to just the industry stuff and being on podcasts and being on panels, I just love public speaking personally as well. I'm a member of Toastmasters International, and this isn't a plug for Toastmasters, but I would encourage people. Public speaking, I'm not bashful at all, and it surprises me, and I really I feel bad for people who are petrified, literally petrified about getting up in front of a group of people, even if it's 5 people at work. not even trying to give a speech in front of 100 or 1,000 people, or a eulogy or a wedding toast or something like that. And, Toastmasters is a great way to learn and to kind of conquer that fear. Or just, I encourage people to take the initiative, because it's a part of your business and a part of your personality. Try not to shy away from it. No pun intended.
Yeah. I'm about to find out personally, both whether or not I do have an innate fear of speaking, and whether or not I need to take Toastmasters.
Okay.
I'm doing a speaking engagement next week. It's my first official one here locally in Washington State. We have a thing called EdCon, and for Washington Multifamily Housing Association, and I'm speaking with a couple other people about some topics. And so yeah, we'll see how it goes. My biggest thing that I've been taught recently is practice. Practice what you're going to say like 10 times.
Yep.
And that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
And I'll be rooting for you.
Thank
you. Picturing people in their underwear is overrated. It doesn't work.
That could be really awkward, actually.
And it can be very awkward. So don't do that. There's better ways to do it. And honestly, if people want to ping me because they want advice on public speaking, I'll give you free advice too. I mean, on that.
I mean, at this point, I feel like I've made enough fool of myself being on the internet, being seen, that I feel like the fear's gone.
Same here. Right. You can't, that is the key. You can't be afraid of embarrassing yourself. We all do it.
Yeah.
And that's part of it.
Right. So I'll just lean into embarrassing myself. Just make it a point.
Right.
All right. Well, Todd, thank you so much for being on with me today. And
thanks.
We finally made it happen.
We did. Yes.
We did it. We were both healthy. We both made it through.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And I appreciate the invitation back. I really do.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming on. And the things you shared are important and timely, and are only going to grow in importance over time when it comes to technology and how we utilize Wi-Fi and networks. And so I think if you're not already using this kind of technology in your community, it's definitely something to check out, whether it's Todd or somebody else, because there's obviously other companies too, but make sure you at least investigate as to, because it's probably an amenity that you could be leveraging and people would really benefit from when it comes to your residents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Todd, thanks for being here and being a guest today. Just like Todd jumped on and was my guest on Boss Talks, you too can be a guest. Just like Stephanie, who's been watching us and commenting, she also was a guest out of the great state of Florida. So if you have something to say and you're a boss in the industry because you're just kicking butt at what you're doing, not because you got a fancy title or even been in the industry very long, I want to know your story, and others do too. So reach out to me and we'll make it happen. Otherwise, have a great day, and we'll see you next week.